A poor mechanic helped fix the luxury wedding car. The bride immediately asked to leave with him. It was the kind of afternoon where the sun hung low and lazy in the sky and the scent of wildflowers danced on the breeze. In the small town of Millersfield, most people knew each other by name, or at least by the sound of their old pickup engines. But on this particular Saturday, the town square was buzzing for a different reason. A wedding. Not just any wedding, the kind that made front pages of local papers and left old folks leaning over fences to gossip. Claire Kensington, daughter of the wealthiest man in 3 counties, was getting married. The groom, Evan Whitmore, was everything you'd expect: sharp suit, perfect smile, and a trust fund big enough to pave his own road to the White House. They spared no expense. Imported roses, a quartet from New York, and a vintage Rolls-Royce Phantom glimmering like a pearl under the afternoon sun. It was supposed to whisk the couple away after they said "I do," but fate had a different plan. On the other side of town, Danny Cole wiped grease from his hands. 29, scruffy, and broke, he worked at a rundown garage inherited from his late uncle. Most days, he fixed beat-up trucks and tractors, nothing like the gleaming Rolls-Royce he saw sputtering by the roadside, steam pouring from under its hood. Danny slowed his truck. It wasn't his problem. Not today. He was late delivering a rebuilt carburetor to Old Man Jenkins. But something about the way the driver, an older man in a starched uniform, paced beside the car made him stop. "Need a hand?" Danny called out. The chauffeur, flustered and sweating through his collar, waved him over. "It's the Kensington wedding. If this car doesn't make it, I'm finished." Danny glanced under the hood. A blown hose. He had a spare back at his shop, old, but it'd hold. "Give me 20 minutes. While Danny worked, the wedding party waited at the church steps. Claire stood in her flowing ivory gown, watching the commotion with growing unease. She'd always hated these shows of wealth. The velvet ropes, the smug smiles. This marriage wasn't about love, it was about alliances, status, and pleasing her father. And yet something about the scruffy mechanic working tirelessly on the car struck her. Grease on his face, sweat on his brow, but a kind of quiet determination in his eyes. He didn't care who she was. He was helping because someone needed it. As the minutes ticked by, Danny patched the hose, coaxed the engine to life, and wiped his hands on his jeans. The car purred. The chauffeur shook his hand like a man saved from ruin. "Wait," a voice called. "Claire." She walked toward Danny, ignoring the gasps and whispers. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft, eyes studying his face. "You didn't have to stop." Danny shrugged. Car needed fixing. A long pause. Then, so quietly he almost didn't catch it, "Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a life you didn't choose?" Danny gave a crooked grin. "Every day." And there, on the gravel road, between oil stains and silk lace, something shifted. Claire glanced back at the church, at her father's tight-lipped approval, Evan's impatient stance. Then back at Danny, at the simplicity and kindness he wore like second skin. "I can't do this," she whispered. And louder, for all to hear, "I'm leaving." Gasps. Shouts. Her father's voice rising like a storm. But Claire didn't care. She grabbed Danny's hand. "Will you drive me?" Danny blinked. "Where to?" "Anywhere but here." For a moment, the world held its breath. Then Danny grinned. "Hop in." They climbed into the old truck, the rebuilt carburetor rattling in the back, and drove down the winding country road, leaving behind a world of obligations and expectations. Months later, word spread through town. Claire Kensington was living above Danny's garage, working mornings at the diner and spending afternoons repainting old signs. They weren't rich. They weren't famous. But folks said you'd never seen 2 people laugh so easily. And every time someone asked Claire if she missed the mansion, the parties, or the Rolls-Royce, she'd just smile and say, "I found what I was looking for in a broken-down car and a man who stopped when he didn't have to." Because sometimes a small act of kindness isn't small at all. Sometimes it's the beginning of everything.